The UK is also poised to start mass vaccinations, and in Wales, plans have been unveiled to issue special ID cards for those getting the jab. The personal immunisation IDs will include the maker of the vaccine, the date received and the batch number, and it will also be used as a reference and a reminder for the second jab, with guidelines in case there are any side effects. However, despite officials assuring the public that vaccinations won't be made mandatory, the ID plans have made some people uneasy.
I'm very worried about the system of ID cards to be given to those who have had COVID vaccine in Wales, one step away from mandatory vaccination.
If Wales doesn't plan to exclude unvaccinated from society, why do they need ID cards for those who took it?
I'm definitely no anti-vaxxer, but something about the ID cards Wales plans on using is wrong. People have free choice and shouldn't be pressured into doing anything to their bodies they don't want to.
Well, the official overseeing the vaccine rollout in England has admitted that, while it's not obligatory, there could be societal pressure to have it. We discussed the issue with a panel of guests.
The idea that somehow having a card that you've been vaccinated is going to be proof that either you're not contagious for other people, or that indeed you are immune yourself for a specific period is certainly not realistic. I can't see any harm at the moment of having a certificate or a card as a sort of aid memoir, as it were, to the fact that you've got to get your second vaccination.
I think we've lost our collective minds with respect to how viruses work. We do always reach herd immunity. Now, granted, sometimes it's a natural process, and this is how we all get vaccinated, by getting our own T cells and immunities based up, and then we can get vaccinated. But I like the idea that obviously frontline providers should probably be vaccinated first, the elderly, the people who are sick. But this is a survivable illness. We keep forgetting that the likelihood of death, which is what I really care about as a physician, is death, is incredibly low. The largest part is survivability.
Now, Michael, of course, the people who really are concerned are the at-risk groups, the more vulnerable people who have been terrified of going outside. Absolutely, they need to be protected. I know the idea of the greater good has kind of lost its importance, lost its popularity, but there are some who would say, you know what, we all need to suck it up so that everyone, all of society, can live fully again. What do you say to those people?
Well, I mean, if you look at the history of such uses of such terms as the common good and the greater good, it doesn't have a very good history, let's face it. But for the vulnerable, we already are doing what we need to do to protect them, to keep them isolated, etc. But a vaccine that we don't know the side effects of, and we don't know the way it even operates, other than that it produces proteins that mimic the virus. We don't know what the downsides are, the long-term effects, the residual concatenation of effects that might occur because of this. And for a virus that has such a low mortality rate, it seems to be quite an extreme measure.
Is the cure worse than the disease? Well, if we're going to lose our civil liberties over this, what are we really treating? And Americans, and we all in the globe, need to always push back. Science always questions things. This is not a thing of faith. That's religion. This is science. We always question, what are we doing and what are the end results?
Boris Johnson said that making an ID card mandatory wasn't very British. Is it necessary? And do you think that we're going to see really strong public pushback on this?
Well, first of all, I don't think it is necessary to make it compulsory. I think the government's set its face against that already. And as you've indicated, it's not the British way. We don't make these things compulsory. But of course, as was indicated by one of your other guests, I mean, if or indeed by our health minister, it may become almost mandatory if you actually want to do certain activities. I mean, if some sort of certificate of your vaccination is required, then it does become subliminally mandatory, and that is a great concern.